you?
I'm
Goodness,
good,
you're
and yourself? How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm excited about this. I was reading that PowerPoint. I am Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This is Lene with the Lene Gray Show. Y'all see me with a big old smile on my face this time. I got a glare from the light. Hold on. Hopefully I can get it to go away. Well, I'm gonna leave it alone because I can't get to messing with stuff. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This is turn your sound down, everyone. Big old smile on my face this time. Someone's got their sound up. Hopefully I can get it to go away. Well, I'm gonna leave it alone because I can't get to messing with stuff. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This is Lene. Turn your sound down.
Okay. Okay.
Mute your speaker. Mute your speaker.
We're all here.
Okay, is everyone here? We still have all our. Okay, everyone's here. We go start this over again. It's fine. It's technical difficulties that happen with Zoom meetings. Anyway, this is the Lene Gray Show here on KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, Kansas City's first global community radio station. We are now an internet radio station, but we still are. Mr. Walker and them are doing some station upgrades, so you're only going to see us on the from our homes for now. You most likely are listening and watching the Lene Gray Show on KUAW-radio on Facebook. You can type in the letters KUAW on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, the TuneIn app, and Periscope. And you will be able to catch all of our live shows there. I've been asking a lot of people now to start going to YouTube. And the reason being, Facebook is doing something with our videos. I don't know what's going on, but a lot of times they're not playing properly, something of that nature. So I've been asking people to go over to YouTube and watch the show, later or as it's going or whatever the case may be. We have, you can contact the radio station at KUAW985 at gmail.com. Again, that's KUAW985 at gmail.com. And that is, should you have any questions, should you have a show idea? And here's another thing. If you have a show idea, please reach out to if you don't reach out to a show host, please reach out to KUAW via email, and they will get the show idea to the proper show that they feel can market. Like, I have a lot of people who are like, oh, I do music, this, and the other. There's certain music that I listen to that I like. But there are shows that on KUAW that will market your show. So don't be afraid to reach out. We are global. Our radio station is global. I have viewers all over the world. Other people have viewers all over the world. So this is where you want to reach out to someone and have us do your show. And don't be patient. Just send another text message because our station runs several shows at one time. Our telephone number, which I'm not going to say because you can't call in. But it's 816, I'm going to say it anyway because it's part of my routine, 816-599-6893. Another thing that I want to thank you all for in advance is your donation. Somewhere on KUAW's page is a donate tab. Then you can go to KUAW.org. If you do not have social media, someone, if you're taking a sabbatical, you look to take a sabbatical. I know people are like, look, social media is too much. I need to get off. You can still go to KUAW.org and watch all of our shows. And there's a donate tab. Just click donate. It goes through PayPal. You do not have to have a PayPal in order to go through PayPal. goes through PayPal, and you just go ahead and simply send your $2 to $1,000 a month donation. No amount too small, no amount too great. Hey, we need it all. So we thank you all in advance. Today, y'all, I'm so excited for this program. Today, we have an organization called Life 360. I'm going to let each person, we're going to start with Mrs. Douglas, and then we're going to go to Rashida, and then we're going to go to Miss Mackenzie. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves. But then I don't know which one of you all wants to introduce the actual organization. But once you get done with your introduction, then we'll go ahead. Pretty unique. I didn't want to say it. I'm sorry. But once we get done with your introduction, then we will move over into telling everyone about the Life 360 organization. Kansas City, listen closely, because this is an amazing organization. Ms. Douglas, go ahead. And you have to unmute yourself.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna pull age here. And Orly she has planned to introduce us, if that's okay with you. Okay, Orly.
That's perfect. Go ahead.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Aura Lee McKenzie, and I am the founder, CEO of Life 360's nonprofit organization. I would first introduce Miss Sylvia. Miss Sylvia is not in attendance, but her name is Miss Sylvia Finley, and she is with the National Association of Women Entrepreneurs in Economics Urban Development, and she's the president of our board. We have here today Miss Rashida Farnsworth. She's also known as Pretty Unique. She is the founder of Divine Intentions, and she's also the host and global influencer. So she wears many titles. We have here today Miss Lucille Douglas. She is the treasurer of the board. She's an educator, an historian. She's a Parkville native, and she's part of the Platte County Historical and Genealogical Societies Board, as well as the Banneker Board. Also on our team, we have Dr. Linda Calles, and she is an anthropologist. She works at the University of South Florida, and her profession deals with behavioral and community science. We also had Warren Riley Watkins III. He's the president of Watkins Foundation currently, and he is a wind turbine technician and currently working as a mentor operator. These are all board members. Two, lastly, that I would like to speak of, Peter Joseph Delaney McKenzie Jr. He's the co-founder of Life 360 and the founder of McKenzie's Property. He's currently a CDL truck driver. We also have, lastly, Archie Williams. He's known in the community as a historian, and he works with many boards, such as the Watkins Foundation and the Friends of Bruce R. Watkins. We would like to thank you for having us today.
I want to thank you all so much. And if we can get Mr. Walker to get the PowerPoint together. Thank you all. And that is so amazing. Miss Lucille, we got to dive into that, because Parkville, you've lived in Parkville, Missouri. You're a native of wow. So when I think of Parkville, Missouri, I never think of Black people ever living there.
Ah,
Literally.
oh my. Yes.
So how are your family native there, or did they move there? I'm sorry, y'all, we getting off subject real quick, but I need to find out about this, because I've never known Black people to live in Parkville.
Okay, and part of what Orly's going to share with you is her ancestry is from Parkville. So
See, y'all, I
There's
told
lots
y'all
to
this
know.
organization is amazing because when you hear what they do, I was reading, I was like, oh wow, oh wow. So you all are bringing up some stuff that we as natives didn't even know, native Kansas Cityans, let alone people around the world. And so, but I'm sorry to cut you off, but go ahead. How long has your family been in Parkville?
Well, my my father and mother came to Parkville because my father was hired as the principal teacher at the second Banneker School in 1940. He had a master's degree from University of Iowa, and they came and settled in Parkville, and that's where we lived and were raised.
Wow. Okay, so this is exciting. This, I mean, just to hear this on the show, because we just, that is, especially now, you know, when you think of in the 1940s, Black people migrated to Parkville. That's amazing. So when we get Mr. Walker back, he had to probably had to handle some business, but you could go ahead and start going through orally. You could go ahead and start going through, you know, exactly what the organization does, what it does, the history, the stuff that I've read that you all are doing with history and things like that. Go ahead and start letting our guests know.
Okay. Well, I am fifth generation descendant of enslaved people buried on the plantation of the Kansas City International Airport. Since 2007, I assisted with my father, Warren Riley Watkins Jr., with the Watkins Foundation, educating the community about descendants at slave grave cemeteries located at the Kansas City International Airport. In 2008, we assisted and evaluated the lead cemetery with Watkins Foundation founder Warren Watkins, my father, and Dr. Jimmy Johnson. They were detectives in this manner. And I also assisted with them sponsoring Black history films, Negro to Hire and Freedom Incorporated now. And so currently we're working on the project to educate the youth about who they are. And with Life 360, we're encouraging the youth to catch our 2020 Vision Breakout Project. This project will highlight the past, present, and future of Kansas City's 365 days a week. The idea is to have an interactional digital wall, which will continually feature videos from the past and present of Kansas City's cultural rich history, and which landmarks current tourist attractions. And this wall will offer a unique visitor experience, and it will be in tuned with an app that can teach and encourage people to learn about Kansas City and its surrounding areas. So we're really excited to get support from the community. This is about the counter narratives that are untold, and we would like the youth to feel part of urban development.
Absolutely. And that's amazing. That is just so shocking that, and they know that there are slave graves on the KCI or MCI. For those around the world, it's not called KCI, it's called MCI when you fly in. But they built it on top of slave graves. And I thought that they were supposed to make some type of provision or do something according to the government to make sure that is preserved or moved or any of that. Pretty, we're gonna go to you and you tell us what you know about what they're, do you have any clue about if they're supposed, because I know you're pretty resourceful. What are they were not supposed to build on top of that, were they?
Not to my knowledge. I have to really be honest with you. When I first joined the board of Life 360, I found out, like you just did, So I had no idea until I became more involved and engrossed with the organization itself, as well as the founder, the history, the background, and especially Miss Lucille. I, from my understanding, just based on the knowledge that I've learned and received thus far, is that there were some provisions, but something about the fee and desecrating the grave. Don't let me misquote Miss Lucille. She's got a little bit more history on this, but to where they raised the fees or the fines for basically desecrating the graves for, with the airport being built right there. And that was, you would think that would stop it, but unfortunately it obviously didn't, because apparently every time Southwest takes off, it's taking off on top of graves.
Wow. Miss Lucille, can you enlighten us more about this?
Okay, specifically, and it's not a very large law. It's not a whole bunch of pages. It's a very short law that says the owners of the property are required to contact the descendants. They're to find and contact descendants for disposition of unmarked graves. That's what the law says.
And so with all the money that has gone into MCI Airport, I'm gonna say MCI instead of KCI, because when you fly in, you're flying into MCI. When you fly out, we know it as KCI here in Kansas City, but everybody else knows it as MCI. So with all the money that is funneling through MCI Airport, no one thought to even contact. And when MCI was built, that was even easier to find the descendants of, because MCI was built back in the 70s, or was it earlier?
No.
Okay. It was built in the 70s, because I remember I was a baby and everyone was always a big, to do about the airport. I don't know if I was born in 75, so I don't know if it was built before me or after me, but I remember everyone was happy about the airport. So back in the 70s, you were even closer to finding the descendants, the direct descendants of, I don't like the word slaves, but they call them slaves. I call them kidnapped, terrorized hostages, because that's what our ancestors were.
Enslaved people.
Yeah, enslaved people. Okay, that's what we'll say, enslaved people. Did you all find any paperwork or any traces of them ever even trying to locate anyone who was a descendant?
Orly, why don't you address that, honey?
Yes, my father was contacted. His name is Warren Watkins. He was contacted by the Pearl family. The Pearls still own and operate a Black farm in Parkville, Missouri, currently to this day. And they were let known that there were descendants that were on that plantation. When they found out about that in 2007, we filed a lawsuit because at that time, Dr. Mark Van Loo, which was the director over the aviation department, he had a great idea to build a racetrack, privately owned racetrack over these enslaved people. And so, of course, we weren't going for that. And currently, he's no longer working there because he didn't want to fight with us about memorializing these lives and making sure that their stories were being told. And so we're currently right now in the process of working with the design team, trying to figure out how to tell these counter narratives in the new terminal. My father passed about 2019, so I'm picking up where he's left off at with the aviation department. And it's very important that we educate the community about this, because they'll continue to build over these lives like they did not exist. And there were at least 85 families buried out there, at least. And we have archaeological proof.
So, and you all do so much more, but we're gonna, we'll do the other stuff on the latter half, because this is important. And what they are doing with Life 360, it's life360.org, correct?
Life360a.org, yes.
Life360a.org. The reason why I'm gonna keep giving you all their website is so that you can go see what they're doing. But the complete disregard that is being given to them and their requests from not just the government, but the builders of KCI, the people who are responsible for following a law, like Ms. Lucille said, a very simple law. It's not some big old long tax law. It's very simple, very simply read. She read it to us. And what's so hard about doing what that law says? This right here, to me, it borders on the conversation with reparations. And the reason why it does is because there's a law stating that you have to contact the family members of those who are entombed underneath MCI Airport. They have not done so. So then they built, as Pretty Unique said, they built the airport on top of the graves of the enslaved people. And Southwest Airlines takes off over come on now. The level of disrespect, because the people who are in the government, the people who have control, the majority, quote unquote majority, so-called, they would make sure that all those graves were preserved, marked, moved, things would be made around them. If you have to shift the whole thing, I've watched people plan and decide that, okay, we do not want to disturb those graves. We don't want to have to pick them up and move them. So let's just go on ahead. We have this many acres. Let's shift it this way. Before they even built. This to me speaks to the history of Kansas City, where the history of Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, pretty good about acknowledging, but they didn't have slaves, but acknowledging their Black community. Kansas City, Missouri has this thing where they want to sweep it all under the rug and make us disappear. I am asking at this point, after even just hearing this, Orly, please give everybody information about how they can support you all financially, support you all by writing petitions, any of that, because to go up against money, y'all, and this is me, I'm stripping down everything because I've seen it and I know how it works. But to go up against money, you need money. You need the top lawyers. You need the top land surveyors. You need the top anthropologists. You need, and they have an amazing anthropologist, but what they need that bank account stacked so that they can go up against you. We're talking about an airport here. And it is Kansas City and ours, the only other major airport in this vicinity. You got to go way to St. Louis, which is 4 hours away, or way to, is it Wichita? And those are the only, and Wichita is where Boeing is. So you have to, that Wichita is what, 4 hours away. So we are the only really major airport in our, and they blatantly, what I would like to say is just with disregard, built on top of those graves, knowing there, because when they broke ground, they had to know the graves are there. I'm a truck driver. I've been a dump truck driver. When they're digging up the ground, you know the graves are there. You know the stones. The bulldozer is pulling the stones up unless they remove them. But you know everything that's in the ground. When the earth mover picks and rolls over and pulls that dirt up, it's pulling up everything. They saw those stones, they saw all of that. So with utmost disregard, they kept moving and kept building. I'm asking everyone, and they didn't even ask me to do this, but it's gonna take money to go up against money. So Orly, please go ahead and give people information on how they can donate and how we can, if we got to write petitions, what we need to do. Tell us how to get in contact with y'all.
Okay, it's quite simple. You can donate. You can log into our website and go to the donation page, which
Give
is
them
at
the website.
www.life360a.org. Now, I can tell you this, we need over $5 million. The $1.5 million is the actual digital component cost, and that's not including the archaeologists and the genealogists that we would need to help monitor the system so that we can deliver the multimedia education tool. There's so much that we need to do, and it's going to take a village to do this. But I know this, that we're speaking on behalf of these of this holy ground, which they have disrespected. And it is necessary for us to gather together. And it's called the movement to healing. That's what my father would call it. It's the movement to healing. And we need to work together to make sure that our story is told the way that it's supposed to be told. The untold stories, these lives existed, and they're there out there still. And they're continuously digging, and they're getting rid of artifacts. And I'm not sure if anyone's documenting this. They treated dinosaurs better than this.
And see,
Please.
Here's the thing. This right here, and that's what I was going to say when you said they treated. I was going to say that is an archaeological dig. When you see how they preserve the digs in Europe, when you see how they preserve the digs that they find, even when they're digging in Tennessee and Kentucky and things like that, when they're, what do they call it? The Kentucky gold or Tennessee gold, when they're digging for the actual gold that is in that area. Like you said, when you see them dig for the dinosaur digs in northern US, and when people are, they are more, even when, this is what I'm going to tell people, even when they're building bridges and freeways, when they're blowing up, they have someone who is an archaeologist go in and look at that rock that has been destroyed and see if there are fossils in that rock. So a lot of people just drive down the freeway and you see all that rock. It's a bunch of different rock where they paved the road through. And you just look at it as, oh, it's a bunch of rock. But the archaeologists have actually, before they kept lowering and lowering and lowering, they had to go in and examine the rock to make sure that they were not disturbing something that was a valuable archaeological dig. So when you understand what she's trying to tell everyone is, they could give a doggone about an archaeological dig. It has artifacts. It's like, erase it. And I'm gonna equate it to the John Warnell House Museum on Warnell. We all know that Luce Park, Jacob Luce Park, was a slave plantation. The John Warnell House Museum, they tell you that if you go read the plaque, they don't say it was a plantation. They say, I think it was a 360-acre farm. A farm, not an enslaved people plantation. So to me, what this is doing, their disregard with this airport initiative, is that they are doing what they try to do with the Warnell House Museum, which is erase the horrors of slavery. And so you all, she said they need $5 million total, and that's not including the archaeologists and the genealogists. It's time for us to quit yelling that we want reparations and start, my daddy used to always say, if you don't work, you don't eat. So that means we got to put our hands to this, to get this going. This is one of the organizations that we literally have to put our actions and our hands into supporting. This is unbelievable. It is. Y'all can go ahead and y'all can kick in at any point in time, because I am stunned that
I'm right
Go
there
ahead.
with you. I was too, just like I said, when I joined, came on board, as a board member, that it blew me away. I was like, what you said, what, Southwest, what, hold on, it's like, and Grace people, what? It is, and a lot of individuals are not aware of this. And I think that it is definitely an important movement to healing, because I mean, that's a lot of families that was touched, by this disrespect. That's a lot of healing. Do you know what I mean? So, it's possible that there are individuals who have no idea their ancestors are out there. And that's kind of the truly sad part. You know what I mean? That individuals are not aware, one, of their history, one, of what their ancestors went through, what they've gone through, what they're still currently going through, because they're now expanding the airport. It's just, it's a lot to really wrap your mind around, and you just have to be, I don't know, you just have to be in that place to where you're able to understand, the pain that comes along with this, to overstand why it's considered a movement to healing, not just for Orly and her family, but the other, descendants of the enslaved individuals underneath the airport.
And you're right. And this is one thing anyone who's social media friends with me on any of my social media, I've been promoting inherited trauma, learning about inherited trauma. And inherited trauma lets you know that the trauma of your ancestors, whether it be aunts, uncles, or direct lineage parent ancestors, it's coded in your DNA as if someone codes a computer. And this right here, this is, to me, and the more I'm studying and the more I've learned about it, it is literally a complete disregard to the people who are the descendants, because you didn't even say, come heal. Come, let me give you some information, and this will help you heal. This will, we know, because we know all of the science. They know the science behind the trauma of the transatlantic slave trade. They know the science of it. It flows all the way down. And some things, they know there are things that can be done to heal that trauma and heal the people. But in this instance, they treated, I'm going to keep saying this so it sinks into people's mind. They treated an archaeological dig as if it was just rolling over some dirt, digging up some farmland, and putting down a major international airport. This right here should, I'm so stunned. You get what I'm saying? And I'm really stunned because I done took off on Southwest Airlines. You get what I'm saying? And so when you think about that, how many people are like, oh, how many of us go to the graveyard and don't even step on the graves? You walk down the path that they create. You will not stand on nobody's grave. You won't step on anybody's grave. You walk down, they create the grassy path around on purpose, and you're careful to make sure if you step back, you're like, oh, I'm sorry. If you're standing on somebody's, I am for the first time on my show, y'all, I am so at a loss for words, because the blatant disrespect here is saying, so what? And at this point, this needs to be brought to our mayor's attention. I don't know if anyone has brought it to our mayor's attention, anyone has brought it to our state legislative, the new mayor and the new city council and the new legislation, because they have much to do with Case MCI Airport. So something needs to be done, something needs to be, and I know they're not going to halt. They're deep into the rebuild, the expansion right now. But we need to make sure that we get fully behind life360a.org to help them do what they have to do in order to get this stuff, get it properly, make sure the archaeological dig is proper. Because look at all the Black people who rushed out to work at the airport because those jobs are plentiful right now. And they don't even know they're standing on top of possibly their ancestors, building and pouring concrete on sacred land. So what we're going to do is, because we normally take a 2-minute commercial break, but what we're going to do is I'm going to give my Dos Minutos with Jorge, my son George Fuller. He is on right now, George, and George brings you all of your political and community activist information. George, go ahead and take you 3 minutes to do your Dos Minutos with Jorge, and then we'll come back and discuss the other programs that life360a.org offers.
Before I get going, shout out Miss McKenzie. I see you over there.
Hey there, nice seeing you.
Same. If y'all don't know, this is one of my parents. So when I see my parents out doing work, they work. So brief things to say. In the House bill, there is a docket list. There's about 1,500 bills long. Number 40, 41, and 45 are the ones that I would tell you to take a look into. Number 40 is specifically on gun rights. For those that are Second Amendment people, you want to make sure you pay attention to that because you're looking at your right. It specifically is making sure, and I'm quoting it, relating to unlawful possession of firearms with penalty and provisions and emergency clause. And it's brought to you by Representative Brown, as well as 41 relating to firearms as well, brought to you by Representative Brown. And then 45 is relating to the Drug Utilization Review Board. We want to make sure that we support those areas because when we talk about what's happening in our communities, we have to make sure that we are making strides in that political arena and that it can be followed through. I'm going to give about 30 more seconds back, specifically just so that we have a moment of silence for America because they continue to show their true colors and true faces without this dishonor of our ancestors, with dishonor to our current people. There is no way you can tell me that you can confuse a taser with a rifle or a pistol. There's no way you can confuse the two. So I'm going to give that 30 seconds back. Thank you for allowing me to be on. Last shout out to the Village, Kansas City. I just got off a board meeting, so that's why I wasn't here at 8. But there's some brilliant things happening. We are having our Black Business Vendor Fair this Saturday at the Paseo Baptist Church. If you're looking to support Black business vendors, please come out and support from 12 to 5 p.m. That was Dos Minutos / a minute and a half with Jorge Fuller. You can follow me at George Fuller or Jorge Fuller for the People at Facebook and hashtag Fuller for the People.
All righty, give the address to Paseo Baptist Church for those who don't know. And you said the date, give the date, time, and address.
That is this Saturday, and I'm going to say the address is 2501 Paseo. You come in off of 25th Street, the intersection where the parking lot is across the street. That would be this Saturday, April 17th, from 12 p.m. to 5. 12 p.m. to 5. There's about 13 vendors that are going to be present there. And then in July, we'll be doing one outside. So be prepared because it's going to be bigger and better. And if you are interested in it, go to the Village Kansas City on Facebook. You can go to the website there as well and sign up.
All righty. Thank you, George. Jorge Fuller for the People, Jorge Fuller. We say Jorge because if y'all spell George, if you got to write in or something, it's going to be wrong. So Jorge Fuller for the People. Thank you so much, son. I want to shout out my wardrobe sponsor today, Daniel Davis. Positive Energy. He made this amazing jumpsuit, and when I tell y'all, it is luxurious. And it's true to size. It's true to size. I'm wearing a 2X right now, and it's got the shirt. Amazing. I can't show it on air because then I got to move everything around. But I will take it off because I'm only wearing it for an hour, and I'll wear it tomorrow when I think I'm cute. It takes plenty of pictures, but. But shout out if you want Positive Energy gear. This is his brand, but it's not just a brand, it is a lifestyle. Positive Energy at Daniel Davis on any social media. Hashtag PEIEKC. If you type in that hashtag and then click on it, you should be able to find him anywhere. I'm gonna go ahead and read some of the comments that we have. I want to thank all of our viewers for watching. CC Queen said, hey, CC. Peter McKenzie said, good job. You guys look and sound great. Looking forward to the growth and continuation of this project. Peter McKenzie also said there weren't enough Black folks to stand at the forefront of the building of the MCI airport to stop them from breaking and building on sacred ground. You're absolutely right. And this is where we here on the Lene Gray Show push civic engagement. We push community engagement. We push informed voting, because when you know where people stand on certain things and you can bring it to a person and say, okay, so where do you stand on this? That is informed. You don't just knee-jerk vote, because even in the knee-jerk voting reaction, someone who, a whole bunch of people who knew this when this was built. Everyone at the top knew. This was no secret. So literally everyone in government, everyone in the building project, everyone who was over even breaking the ground, the contractor who had the original contract, who subcontract, everyone knew about this. And all of those people remained silent. That's an issue. Peter McKenzie said there have to be thousands of other stories similar to these out there of unspoken ancestors that haven't been properly memorialized. Exactly. And the one thing that I'm trying to get a lot of the people in the country to realize, because we have this thing where when I went to Africa, I realized everything is, they have their sacred things. And if it's not a tradition, it's a actual piece of land that no one is to go near, touch, or go in. But because here in the US, a lot, even in Europe, you'll find sacred places. Everywhere else in the world, except for in the US, you find sacred places, and they do not desecrate, because this is desecration of our ancestors' graves. This is nothing other than desecration. They do not desecrate graves. And so people don't understand that the US will never be able to heal because of the disregard that has gone on for human life and the grave, the final resting place of the body of several of the people. So you're absolutely right. Our unspoken ancestors. George typed in the website, life360a. I thought it was .org. It's .com or .org?
.org.
Okay, George, it's life3. Take that one down and put in life360a.org. Hi, Ms. Walker. So those are our comments about the first portion of our show, which was addressing that MCI airport that y'all fly in, all my people around the world. If you ever come to the US, if you're coming to Kansas City, Missouri, or anywhere near, you're gonna fly in, and MCI airport is built on top of enslaved people's graves. They did not properly notify the family. The law is very, very simple. It's not a million pages long to where they had to go read a tax report, you know, or anything like that. It's very simple and to the point of what they were to do when it comes to dealing with those enslaved people's graves underneath Southwest Airlines runway. And they are literally expanding on top of that land as we speak. They sank $1 billion, they sank a whole lot of money into it, and they're out there expanding on top of that land as we speak. So this right here, like she said, $5 million. You gotta, in order to fight this, you need money to make money. You need to make money to fight money. I don't care what nobody says. This is a machine, and this machine has been going since the 70s. And so if we're saying you have to honor the ancestors, first off, let's erase for people who don't care about honoring our ancestors. Follow the law. The law was written. It's the law. Follow and do the law. That's simply put. You don't never have to care about our ancestors. follow the law. The law was written, and it's written real simple, and it's not a whole lot of stuff you got to read through in order to do. Peter McKenzie said, "We must never forget what they have done and continue to do to us as a people. I have children I worry about constantly because of the injustices of America." And what I do is, I understand completely what you're saying, Peter, but then you just literally segued us into the second portion, which is where we train our children to get involved, to not back down, to put their money where their actions and their mouth are, because that's the only way to create change. I want to commend any and every one who lived through the civil rights movement, because their words and their actions and them donating money and things of that nature is what made it to where Black people can be on Facebook. Because trust me, if they didn't do what they did, each and every person was a fiber of us having the voice we have, we would not be invited on Facebook. Trust me, we wouldn't be able to share a space. Trust me. So but they were young people who were doing, when you look at the pictures of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, the Panthers, you look at the man who I forgot his name, that was one of the first to be killed. They were young. You look at, I'm 45. What's his name, Miss Lucille?
Medgar Evers.
Medgar Evers. They were what I, as a 45-year-old, call babies. And but they were trained up to fight for their rights, and that's where that fire comes from. So we have to, as I've done with my children, we have to train our children to begin to start addressing this stuff. So now we're going to go back to Miss Orly. And Orly, tell us what you're doing with the youth, because that was perfect. Peter McKenzie's comment was perfect to segue us into the other part of life360a.org.
Okay, well, currently, Life 360 has developed a program with the Kansas City Museums, which is called the Knowing Me, Knowing You program. Now, this program will incorporate the recovery of slave burial sites and the efforts to honor the heritage of ancestors in after-school sessions. Particularly, sessions will highlight Life 360's digital technology exhibits of Kansas City's history. Now, sessions will highlight the Great Migration of African Americans fleeing the U.S. from the South, contributing to the growth of Kansas City. And these stories are not well known. So the students will be able to conduct author act-outs or performances portraying what they've learned throughout the 7 months of the Knowing Me, Knowing You program. And the program will reclaim those lost voices and histories and performing arts and activities through programming. So I'm very excited to be working with the youth, because they have a lot of insight regarding even music. And Rashad Farnsworth, which is one of our youth advisory leaders, he is 15 years old now. He was 14. He just had a birthday. He has stated that we need to incorporate music. And I thought it was a great idea, because before we could read and write, that's how we were telling our stories. So we can go as far back as centuries to hear those stories through music and incorporate those also into the lesson. And so even the American Jazz Museum and the Negro League Baseball Museum is the epicenter of African American influences worldwide. And so African American culture of this area influenced the world. Students will be taken on virtual field trips to see the historical sites of the era that they were not in, including the Banneker School in Parkville, Missouri, which was the first African American school in Missouri. And so it's just a lot to learn, and a lot we need to incorporate into the program, so that we can facilitate instruction. And we need the youth advisory to help us develop these program objectives.
That is wonderful, and it's so wonderful that you said that. And I want to give Rashad Farnsworth, just a kudos, young man, because when he brought up the fact that we need to bring in music, you could just go to the musicians local, mutual musicians local down there on 18th Street on 18th, and you see the history. My son, Desmond Mason, D Professor, they call him D Professor. He's one of the featured keyboardists, pianists, jazz pianists down there. And when you go down there, they did a show for him to raise money for him. And I was down there at the door collecting money. And it was just the history of the place. The pictures are artifacts themselves. So kudos to him, because Kansas City music set the world on fire. And when you look at, and the song about Kansas City it still is a popular song, a very, very popular song. And whenever I tell people I'm from Kansas City, everyone starts to sing. I had a guy who was Eastern European, and I'm a truck driver. And so we were at a shipper, and he was like, "So where are you from?" And I told him Kansas City, and he started singing the Kansas City jazz song. He said, "Yes, 18th and Vine." He said, "Y'all do have beautiful women here." So, I want to thank you for that. And another thing, when you said the Great Migration, it's amazing that you're going to be telling stories, because part of the Great Migration to Kansas City and helping to build and the culture of my great grandmother came here with 2 of her 3 children. And she was freed from slavery when she was 14 off of a plantation, the Leverett plantation in Alabama. So they first stopped in Chicago, and then my great grandmother came to Kansas City, and then my grandmother was finishing up college at University of Chicago, and then she got married and came to Kansas City, and they are part of the founding members of Bethel AME Church on 25th and Flora. So I want to thank you all for being willing to retell these stories and get them recorded, because there is a lot of history. I grew up on 25th and Woodland, steps from 18th and Vine, J.D. Johnson's, all of those different. I knew 18th and Vine. And they was like, there goes one of them gray babies just walking. I just be walking up and down 18th and Vine. But that was when it was safe. I could walk from 24th and Vine all the way down to 18th. And just back then, 18th was pretty much destroyed, because the city wouldn't give money to help it get fixed up. It didn't get fixed up again until the 90s when they did that movie. And then they put those fake storefronts. That's what that's from. So I want to thank you all. Will there be, is there open enrollment for the youth? What happens to get the youth enrolled? Is there a fee for the youth to be a part of the group? You mentioned working with the Nelson Atkins Art Museum. Tell us more about that program so people can get their children involved.
Okay, well, it's actually the Kansas City Museum, and it has been restored. And so we will be opening here next year around 2022. But during that time, we are asking for youth to participate in the youth advisory so that they can be part of the program's development. And I wanted to piggyback off of some of the things that you were saying about those errors that the youth don't know about. During the Jim Crow era, the African Americans lived in segregated communities. They did thrive in their own institutions, and program participants will learn about these errors, and will have the opportunity to conduct oral histories and interviews, so they can get a clear understanding of what happened in the past through these oral history recordings. Students will have the opportunity to see examples of how it's highlighted Kansas City. And so the question is for the youth that want to participate, it's no cost to them at this time, is, do you know who you are? How does my family history connect to Kansas City's history? Do I know my heritage as a Kansas City resident? How does history inform our current situation and circumstances? How can I utilize resources in my community to learn more about my community and my place in it? And lastly, how will knowing my history and cultural help me? And so we're just asking for the youth to contact us again through our website at www.life360a.org and just send a comment with your telephone number and our email address, and we'll get back with you so you can be part of our weekly sessions so that we can incorporate and these programs to help facilitate things that you want to learn about yourself. But it is about you.
What age group are you working with?
In middle school and high school age students. I believe that that's a good start for now.
Mhm.
I've spoken at the Academy for the Integrated Arts, and the elementary school students are even, you know, in tune to this, I believe. But right now we're going to focus on middle school to high school students.
Great. I want to thank you so much because
Lynette,
Life 360. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Miss Lucille.
okay. You spoke of something that I really think we're all aware of, and we're just so accustomed to how in this culture, this larger culture, things change to suit the time. And originally, the song was not about 18th and Vine. It was about what and Vine? 12th and
12,
Vine.
yeah. Right. Were
12th and
they,
Vine.
yeah.
And you're right. 18th and Vine had been neglected, but it was developed.
Mhm.
And then 12th and Vine, which was the original hub of so much of our Black community in those days, did not thrive. And
Right, because Ella Fitzgerald has a street named after her near 12th. You're right, near 12th Street.
yes, there was a theater there on that corner, Paseo, 12th and Paseo, huge round theater.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
So,
Down the
okay,
street from the gym.
Mr.
So
Walker, can we get
I'm
a little
just
bit of extra
bringing that.
time? Mr. Walker, can we get a little bit of extra time? Go ahead, Ms. Lucille.
I'm just bringing that up because what Orly says is so right. We have to know our own stories.
Mm-hmm.
We have to know all those twists and turns, because wherever they want to make the money, they turn it to suit themselves.
You are sure? I didn't think about that till you said it. But Ella Fitzgerald Street is nowhere near 18th and Vine. You have to go north to Ella Fitzgerald is what? Ella Fitzgerald Way is 12th Street. Is it 12th Street? It's a little bit closer to 12th Street, but it's not. It's closer to the projects. And they, like you said, they let 12th and Vine just go off. And closer to that area is where the richest young Black woman in the world, that's where she built her mansion over there off of Paseo. What was her name? They took us there when I was a little kid. Oh, what was her name? But it's a story about how a young Black girl, she was down south somewhere. They gave her land as part of reparations. On that land was oil. And they struck oil on her land, and she became the richest.
Sarah Richter.
Miss Rector, Sarah Rector.
Sarah Rector.
The Rector mansion is on closer to 12th and Paseo. And 12th and Paseo and Paseo and Vine are literally probably 2 to 3 streets away, depending on what part of Kansas City you're on. So I want y'all, this is amazing. And Kansas City and everyone else, and this is what I want the Black community in Kansas City to do. Realize that once the other communities find out about life360a.org, they're going to jump into supporting. They're going to throw their money in. They're going to support, and they're going to learn all of our information, and they're going to fully support the organization. And once again, we're going to be like, oh, well, you know, they didn't tell us that. They didn't tell us. They're here on the show, letting you know what they do. So do not get upset. There's a company in Kansas City that does tours, Kansas City Tour Company. And I had the displeasure of hearing someone say, oh, but he only caters to white people. No, he does not. It's a tour company. He takes who pays. So we have to start supporting our Black people who have our history. They're trying to give us our history. They're trying to give our children. Have your children, middle school and high school, go to life360.org, leave them a message with their name, their age, grade, and telephone number to be contacted. Parents, have them put y'all number in there because kids half hardly don't answer their phone and stuff. So, you know, kids ain't into handling business like that just yet. But we need to, Kansas City as a whole, you know, if you don't believe in desecrating graves, I don't care what your race is, we need to get this organization the $5 million because it takes money to fight money. And they have desecrated graves with MCI Airport. And anybody who knows, anybody who's flown in and out, they are currently desecrating graves because they're expanding the airport as we speak. This is the Lene Gray Show. I want to thank Ms. Lucille Douglas. I want to thank Pretty Unique. I want to thank Orly McKenzie and my son, Jorge Fuller. And thank you so much, Mr. Walker, for keeping us on air. Thank you all. This is the Lene Gray Show on KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, Kansas City's first global community radio station. I want to wish everybody joy, love, peace, happiness, health, wealth, well-being, total enlightenment, prosperity, success, affluence, and a whole lot of money. I will see y'all next Tuesday. Take care. All righty. Take care.